Hey y'all, it's Kasie. I just wanted to hop on and give you guys a recap on some of the amazing people that I had the opportunity of getting to hear in person at the Success Live event in Dallas this past weekend. I was there on Friday. It started at 9 a.m. and ended at 6 p.m. So we had a ton of great information to gain that day and a lot of great people to listen to. So I'm going to recap this video on Lewis Howes. I think I'm saying his name right. I hope so anyways. Let me find him. So this is what he looked like. This is Lewis Howes, and he is a New York Times best-selling author and high-performance business coach. This is his bio. Lewis Howes, author of the New York Times bestseller, The School of Greatness, believes that how you feel every moment is more important than what you do or what you have. As a lifestyle entrepreneur, high-performance business coach, and keynote speaker, he was recognized by the President Barack Obama as one of the top 100 entrepreneurs in country under 30. The former professional football player is also a contributing writer for Entrepreneur Magazine and Yahoo Health and has been featured in the New York Times, Forbes, People, and Men's Health. So that's his bio, a little information behind him. He also is known for this book, The School of Greatness. So if you guys haven't heard of The School of Greatness, it's definitely something you should check out. He was pretty awesome, I'm not going to lie. He was our last speaker, so it's almost like they saved the best for last, right? No, there was a ton of amazing people there. There was Gloria Mayfield Banks, National Sales Director from Mary Kay. There was Bishop T.D. Jakes. There was Simon T. Bailey. There were so many great people. But he was really pleasantly, surprisingly, really good. So, okay, Lewis Howes, he talked about his story. So first of all, his story is pretty amazing. And I did not write his story down, so I'm going to try and recap it the best that I can from Friday. And I also can't promise that my daughter will not be at my door like screaming in 5 minutes, so just go with it. But from what I know, he talked about how he was sexually abused and raped very young, like at the age of like 6. His father left when he was like 12, and him and his, I think, siblings and his mom were dropped off kind of on the side of the road and left for like, whatever they could figure out. By the grace of God, he came out of that and completely changed his life and did not allow that to determine what he was capable of and what he was to go on to do later in life. And so it's really amazing to hear his story straight from him. Heather said listen to his podcast, so I'm guessing he has a podcast that you guys should check out. But definitely look into his book, The School of Greatness, and look into more of his story, because it's really crazy how so many people these days give so many excuses as to why they can't be successful or aren't successful. But really the truth of the matter is that we all have hardships, and they should not determine what you are capable of. So amazing. So basically he said he had 3 truths that he wanted to share. Truth number 1 was to follow your dreams. He said what you can learn in the pursuit of the dream is more important than if you actually accomplish the dream. The reason he talks about this so much is because, like I said, his childhood was not easy. He had, every reason to go off the path and be, who knows what, and instead he had dreams, and if he did not have those dreams, he said he would not be the man that he is today. There was times where he just basically wanted to give up in life. I'm trying to remember everything, because we heard seriously 20 different speakers that day, and as I'm talking, I'm remembering some more tidbits of his story and just actually how amazing he was. I think he talked about how I don't know. Okay, y'all will just have to look up his story, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Okay, so truth number 1, follow your dreams. What you learn in the pursuit of the dream is actually what's important. So if you set your goal, for us, we're Senegence distributors. So if you set your goal to be a crown princess and you don't hit crown princess, you guys can ask, some others in our family, what you learned in that pursuit of that dream actually ends up becoming more important and more valuable to you than actually achieving that goal. So the people that you met, the things that you learned about yourself, the, integrity that you had to not just, pay your way through, all the different things that you learned throughout that journey are actually what's important. So I thought that was great. And he said they matter because you matter. Your dreams actually matter because you actually matter. So that's great. Number 2, his truth was be grateful. He said, when you live a life of gratitude, you are less likely to be negative, stressed out, etc. So when you're living a grateful life, when you're just absolutely just happy to be here and happy to be alive, happy to wake up, you're not as stressed when you're stuck in traffic on the way to wherever you're going. You're not as stressed whenever your kid spills, their food all over the floor. You're just grateful you have a kid, right? You're just grateful you have a car to drive in traffic. So if you just live a life of gratitude, like, you don't get bogged down by the everyday life stresses that we all have. And so I think that that's amazing, obviously. He said he incorporates gratitude into everything he does, which I thought that was really cool. And he is like you heard, he was a former football player. So he's like a big guy. He's pretty handsome. Like, when you look at him, you do not think that this guy does this, but listen to this. He said he incorporates gratitude in everything he does. So he said with his spouse, with his team meetings, with his voicemail. So he said that literally the first thing he talks to his girlfriend on the phone, he's like, good morning, what are you grateful for today? And he literally asked her, like, as soon as they wake up, what are you grateful for? Then he said, your team meetings, don't start any team meeting, he said, without asking the crowd, like, what are you grateful for today? And to go around and give time for people to say what they're grateful for or what they're grateful for about their company. So if you're, about to do a team call with your girls and you know that you have some bad news to deliver, then you say, okay, guys, I've got some bad news to deliver, but first I want to talk about what we're grateful for, because you're actually setting the tone for gratefulness. And then those, that bad news that we all get, it's going to take a little less of a sting. And then he said his voicemail, he said it actually says, like, hey, you've reached Liz's house. I can't get to the phone right now, but before I call you back, I'm going to need you to tell me what you're grateful for. That's his voicemail. How amazing is that? He says, if you don't tell me, I'm not calling you back. So I think that's awesome, because we all get bogged down with voicemails and we're like, oh my gosh, what do they want? What do they mean me to do now? And to actually hear, okay, so I'm grateful for my daughter, but I need you to call me back because XYZ. Isn't that amazing? I think that's great. Okay, and then number 3, he said live in service. Doing it only for yourself will leave you unfulfilled. Ask yourself if you're making it about yourself or if you're living in service. So he talked about if you are doing this solely, and by this, he was talking to a whole room full of entrepreneurs. So he wasn't just talking to people, in our field of direct sales. He's talking to people who own their own business, who aspire to own their own business, who are in direct sales, who, just live in a life of like thinking higher, which all of you do, or else you wouldn't have said yes to this opportunity. So congratulations, that's you. But he said to ask yourself, do you live in service? If you're doing this just for yourself and just for a paycheck, you're not going to be very successful. And if you are successful, you're not going to be fulfilled. Like, you're going to get there and you're always going to want more. You're never going to be happy. You're going to be like, that was great, what now? That was great, what now? Like, and that's a good question to ask yourself when we're talking about goals, but it's not when we're talking about being fulfilled and actually saying, like, I fulfilled my goal, or I fulfilled my dream, or I fulfilled my destiny, right? Like, you want to be more fulfilled than saying, I made a bunch of money, right? I mean, at least I do. And so living in service, he says, if you ever get bogged down with just what you're doing and you're just feeling kind of unfulfilled, to ask yourself if you're actually doing it for you or if you're doing it for other people, because the fulfillment that you get from serving others is going to be way better than any recognition that you could ever have. Okay, and so to end his little talk, his was 20 minutes, so I tried to keep mine a little bit shorter. You guys know I could talk forever. So to end his talk, he's talked about the starfish story. So if you guys have never heard that, he said there's a little boy on the beach and there's a bunch of starfish washed up, right? And this little boy is just chunking these starfish back into the water. And this man walks up and he says, what are you doing? And the little boy says, well, they're drying out. They're in the sun. If I don't throw them back in the water, they're going to die. And the old man says, There's no way that you can throw all of these starfish back in the water before some of them die. He said they're lined all up down the beach. There's no way. And the little boy looks at the man and he picks up another starfish and he throws it back in the water. And he says, at least I helped that one. At least I made a difference for that one. And so that's the story he ended on, and that's the story I want to end his little tidbit on. And that is to go to show you that you may not be able to help everyone. You may not be able to change nations, but you can change someone and you can help someone, and that's what should be important. Again, this is Lewis Howes. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, but you guys can look him up. This is him. He was amazing. All right, bye.